can you see? Oh, say, can you see? Biden, fiddly-dee.
You don't know the words.
No, I do. There are the words.
Yeah. Anyway, we've dedicated tonight's show to Donald Trump for winning and helping this planet out of a possible disaster.
And the American people.
And one of the people who helped him do that joins us now. Sebastian Gorka, well done. Thank you very much, Sebastian, for coming on our show. Oh, you've got the hat.
Hang on. I need to get a photograph of all three of us in our MAGA hats.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Love it. We salute you.
By the way, people want to know where they can get them on Amazon. It's a tenner for two, I think.
Made in China.
Probably.
I'll get you the real ones from Trump Tower that are made in America. How about that, guys?
Yeah. That'd be brilliant. That'd be brilliant. Listen, you never doubted that he was going to win. And I didn't think anybody could vote for the lady. Yeah. But the way our media over here has...
And there.
And there, I suppose, but has angled everything against him. I was so surprised and happy.
And the polls as well, which is weird.
To see such a great return to common sense.
It's like Brexit. You know, the people don't give a stuff for the pollsters or what the BBC or CNN say, and they say, you know what, 20 million illegals, petrol tripling in price, mortgages doubling in price, war in the Middle East, war in Ukraine. Can we have the old guy back? Can we have the old sheriff come back? And can we just stop and just look at the trouncing, the utter complete humiliation? We have this genius system called the Electoral College, which means that urban centers don't get to dominate over rural voters, that everybody's represented. And President Trump has just blown her out of the water when it comes to the Electoral College vote. But he also won the popular vote. There's a place called Starr County in Texas. Think of this. We've been told he's a racist, he's a misogynist, he's a white supremacist. Starr County in Texas is 93% Hispanic. They voted for President Trump, the first Republican they voted for since 1872. So I guess the Hispanics of Texas are white supremacists as well.
Was it too big to rig, Seb? Like they say, did they try and rig it, but it was just too big a landslide?
Well, they're still trying to rig it. I mean, Arizona is telling us they're going to need another couple of weeks to get the results of the senatorial race. I mean, it's one of the most corrupt states out there. But we have two big mitigating circumstances. Number one, they didn't have the cover of COVID. Under Nancy Pelosi, they literally mailed out 81 million mail-in ballots to people who didn't even request them, and that's just asking to rig it. They couldn't do that this time. And secondly, thanks to organic grassroots initiatives, not just the RNC. Lara Trump at the RNC was amazing, but people like Charlie Kirk with Turning Point USA, people like Scott Pressler, private organizations went out there to register voters to say, hey, do you care about the future? Do you miss how cheap things were? A pound of bacon being 50% less than it was today. And they got people motivated to go and vote for the future of their families and their children. So organic, genuine, authentic.
Elon Musk had a big arm in it, didn't he?
I was at Butler. So I went to Butler when the president returned to the place where he was shot in the head. It was this is like super rural Pennsylvania that was the key to the president's election. He took every one of the 7 swing states. And I was seated right behind J.D. Vance, who's now the vice president-elect, and Elon Musk sitting next to him. And the president's still speaking, giving his return to Butler address. And it was funky. In rural Pennsylvania, this chant goes up, especially amongst the young men, of Elon, Elon, Elon.
Why?
So this guy.
Sorry, Sebastian, but why on earth have there been so many people? What is it about him? We've had people in tears over here, stupid, sloppy, socialist, liberal
narcissists,
idiots.
That's why. They have them in the States as well.
What is wrong with these people?
Whoopi Goldberg, Robert De Niro.
Can I tell you a story? Do we have time for a story?
Yeah,
All of them.
So I stopped. I've had this hat stapled to my head for about a month now. I said, I don't care where I am. I could be wearing a suit. This isn't leaving my head. I'm going to be a human catalyst. Having a national radio show isn't enough. On the way to the studio today, I stop at my favorite Lebanese Christian coffee shop to get a coffee. It's a beautiful day in Virginia. Sun is shining. People are sitting outside on the terrace. I showed this video, and I'm going to post it on my X account, said Gorka, as soon as we get off. I didn't talk to anybody. I'm walking past the terrace into the coffee shop. This old white hag looks at my hat and says, "Are you effing joking? Why does America need to be great again?" And I just looked at her, this lunatic, and I said, well, you know what? 20 million illegals, record inflation, 12-year-old young girls being raped and murdered by illegals. I think that's not great. I'd like to fix it. When I talked about this girl, Jocelyn Nungare, raped by 2 Venezuelan illegals, strangled and thrown in a ditch. Do you know, I started recording her. I'm going to post the recording. You know what she did, guys? Wow. She cackled like a hyena. These people are mental. It's like a cult.
They are narcissistic infants, aren't they? They've been brought up to
Are they? The problem I have as well is that they seem to be they've infested the political systems, and maybe we should go for one like you over here, because if we had, we would not be under this appalling government we are under now. And they are trying to stop freedom of speech. So however long we're allowed on the air, if not, we'll have to come and join you. But the fact...
You're welcome.
Thank you. The fact is that the lovies, if you like, from the Taylor Swifts to the
Robert De Niro's,
Winfreys and all the rest
Whoopi
of them,
Goldbergs,
and all those people who work in the media. I went through all the ones in my control room just to see if there were any lefties out there, and if there were, I'd get rid of them before we went on air. Joking. But why have they done this? Well, what is it about the media that has allowed them to take over?
Because they have utter disdain for the average person who gets their clothes dirty working, uses their hands to work, drives a truck, handles a trowel. Look, you look at the map, the map of the election, and it's bi-coastal elites, right? It's the big cities, New York, Boston, Los Angeles, whose those voters, their biggest problem is, what's the strength of the Wi-Fi at Starbucks, and do they have almond milk? I mean, the idea that the price of petrol means... Let me give you one thing that should have swung every normal person for the president. When we were in the White House, the average mortgage payment for a home in America was $800 a month. $800. Under Biden and under Harris, it is now $1,700 a month, a more than 100% increase in the cost of... I know, and then you think, well, who cares about mean tweets? Can I not have a 400% increase in the price of my mortgage? But if you're rich, if you work in IT, if you've got a degree in diversity studies and you're the head of HR, you don't give a flying F for the person who drives a lorry, who picks up a shovel and works. You couldn't give a damn. These people are so isolated. Let me tell you a story.
Okay, before you do, but how did people like us get into the media? I mean, I'm celebrating now my 50th year. I've been given an MBE, which I'm incredibly proud of.
I know.
But how did I didn't go to university. I'm not a great academic. I've just got a big mouth. And I found when I started working, and I started working as a DJ who got bored and started having phone calls on the air. That's how I started.
You know, I'll tell you why. Because I was listening to you when I was a young man.
When you were a young boy.
When I was a young boy. So you know why? Because you got to a place most people don't get to quicker than others. It took me till my 30s, about 35, when you don't give a fig what other people think of you. That is the I know that moment when I said, I don't want the approval of anyone. If I'm square with God, if I'm square with my wife and my best buddy, I am good to go.
That's what Trump's got.
I would say, James, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, I think you've either always been like this or very early on you said, you don't care what they think about you. You're just going to do your thing.
I was a late-night DJ with a late-night voice playing soothing music, and I thought everybody in the media just wants to be loved, and I'm bored with the whole thing.
Yes.
And you're right. That's how. Back in the 1970s.
When I worked in the White House, because they hated my boss, I was treated as a pariah because I said, I'm not going to talk to the media on or off the record, on background, because they hate me, they hate my boss. Why the hell would I support them?
Yeah.
I had colleagues at my rank, which was like deputy assistant to the president, who all they wanted, James, was to be loved by the establishment, to have the Washington Post or CNN or BBC say something nice about them. And I'm thinking, they hate your guts. Why would you help them? I don't think any of us, you, Ash, or me, we don't need the approval of anyone we wouldn't take advice from. If I'm not going to take advice from you, I don't need your approval.
And what's President Trump's relation with Britain going to be like after Keir Starmer tried to send 100 people to the Camilla Harris and David Lammy?
I might get in trouble for saying this, especially if I get a job offer from my old boss. It's going to be great, except for one thing. If Lammy doesn't resign or apologize before the inauguration on January 20th for calling my former boss and the president-elect a neo-Nazi sympathiser and sociopath, I don't think the relations between our two nations are as they should be, because that is bloody inexcusable.
Do you think we've just played a clip of Lammy, who I think is the most disgusting person to get into politics? Well,
after Keir Starmer.
I think Keir's just useless. But I think the unfortunate thing is the whole of the front bench of our government at the moment are a little dull. And
student ideologue, narcissist infants.
But this is the problem. Donald Trump won't come out and say that about David Lammy, but if he truly believes it, and if Keir Starmer doesn't do it, our relationship while they're in government here will not be so special, will it?
Look, I'm not going to speak for the president.
We might have to come and live with you.
But Farage will smooth it over a bit, maybe. Do you know what I mean?
Well, Farage is going a little wobbly on immigration and deportation. I hope he finds his old spine again.
No, not over here, he isn't.
Good. All right. Because I thought he was avoiding the deportation word recently. But
Trump's going to arrest them all, isn't he, and remove them. That's his pledge.
Well, if you're here illegally, we're going to have the biggest deportation in human history.
Yeah.
If you broke the law to come here and other people like me waited in line, paid our dues, took the test, then, yeah, you get short shrift.
Yeah.
Look, the president has a very, very warm place in his heart for the British Isles, for familial reasons, heritage, and, you know, golf, and you name it. So that's always going to be there. But you can't have decent relations with a government whose foreign secretary calls you a neo-Nazi sympathiser.
J.D. Vance did, though, didn't he, the vice president, years ago? He doesn't bear a grudge, Trump, in some way.
And he said he was wrong, and he apologised, and he gave a great interview, and he said, sorry, guys, the mainstream media had me brainwashed. I mean, it takes a big guy to admit that, and he did.
We've got
we're just going to show this tweet that...
David Lammy sent this. Deluded, dishonest, xenophobic, narcissistic. Donald Trump is no friend of Britain. He's not fit to hold public office, let alone worthy of our country's highest honours and a banquet with the Queen. Theresa May is selling out the UK to a serial liar and a cheat. That's from our Foreign Secretary.
That was 7 years ago.
5 years.
5 years ago.
What has happened to the nation of my birth? I mean, that's just an outrage. You know, we just had more than 73 million Americans choose that man.
Yeah.
What are you doing, Lammy? I mean, that's just inexcusable.
I mean, here's the thing. Your problems are our problems. We are being invaded. I don't like to use the word migrant. These are criminals, because they're often paying criminal gangs to come here illegally. When they get here, they get picked up, taken to a hotel, given a credit card, fed. Why would you not come here?
Yeah.
We've got veterans.
£40,000 a year it costs to house them. If 2,000 came a couple of weeks ago, that's £80 million a year just on the 1 week's worth.
Think of this. Think of this. And your listeners and your viewers may not believe me. That's fine. Just look it up for yourself. There are 153 hotels in the great city of New York that you cannot book a room in because they are full of illegals there on my taxpayer dollar. 153, including classic famous hotels.
Yeah.
Not only that, in Aurora, Colorado, watch the Ring doorbell footage. There are members of Tren de Aragua, organized crime cartels, going room to room, house to house, collecting quote-unquote rent with rifles because they've taken over apartment blocks. And the mayor says, it's only a couple of apartment blocks. Well, okay then, fine.
They've shut all the shops as well in New York because they were getting robbed. And like here, it's $1,000 before it's a misdemeanor. So they're all clearing out. So all the shops are closing.
But, you know, we're billions apparently in the red. We're giving,
Trillions.
We're giving billions away to foreign countries, some of which can't stand us. Okay? Yeah. We're giving billions away to these illegals breaking into our nation. And we don't
taking
have any
$1.5 billion
money.
off the pensioners who can freeze to death and letting our servicemen sleep in doorways while the migrants step over them and go into their warm hotels with free meals.
Do you think, we'll make this the last one because I'm slightly running over, but do you think that Trump will be able to get some leverage, if you like,
leverage, that's
leverage,
what they,
yes,
leverage.
Sorry, leverage. Yeah. Do you think he'll get some on Keir Starmer to get rid of Lammy and maybe to get rid? I mean, our
himself as well.
Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner. Yeah. Was she related?
He can't get rid of her. There's too much of the Labour Party works sort of a power trip.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. The president is the author of the art of the deal. He's shown it before, and maybe let's just say. Before January the 20th, there may be a couple of rather intense conversation behind closed doors, if you know what I mean.
Sebastian, always good to talk.
Thanks,
we'll talk
Seb.
again fairly soon. Let us know when you're coming over here.
Will do.
If we haven't been done for something or other, I don't know.
Well, Well, now we should be all right.
Yeah, we should be okay. Yeah. We're wearing our poppies with pride, and many other people in the journalistic business have decided not to wear them. Anyway.